pain is not a virtue. It is not noble to suffer silently or to wear your wounds like jewelry. This is the lie sold to the weak to keep them docile. Trauma, in its rawest form, is power in waiting. It is energy, chaotic, burning, and violent, that the wise convert into strength. The masses are taught to romanticize their suffering, to speak of healing as if it were a soft light breaking through the darkness. But healing, real healing, is not found in tears or forgiveness. It is found in domination over the very force that tried to break you. You must stop treating your pain as a burden and start treating it as your sword. Every scar is a lesson written in blood. Every betrayal is a revelation carved into your soul. The pain you endured was a message, a brutal truth about the nature of others and the weakness within yourself. To romanticize it is to miss the message. You must study it with cold detachment. Who hurt you? Why were you vulnerable? What did you fail to see? These are the questions that matter, not how you felt, but how you will never feel that way again. The world is not moved by your tears. It is moved by your resolve. Those who survive trauma without using it become ghosts of themselves, haunted by what happened, unable to move forward, chained to a past they refuse to weaponize. Sentimentality is a poison. It makes you worship your pain instead of conquering it. When you turn your trauma into a narrative of victimhood, you remain a pawn in someone else's game. But when you turn it into fuel, you rise beyond the reach of those who once wounded you. You become something colder, harder, more deliberate. Pain is information. Pain is strategy. Pain is the teacher that never lies. Do not cry over it. Study it. Absorb its lessons. Make it your second skin. That which did not kill you was not a test of your heart. It was a test of your mind. And now that you know how cruel the world can be, what will you do with that knowledge? Will you continue to bleed, or will you carve a weapon out of every wound? The weak look back and feel sorrow. The strong look back and feel nothing, because they extracted the value from every drop of pain and discarded the rest. Your trauma is not just pain, it is narrative. And if you do not seize control of that narrative, someone else will. The world is filled with opportunists who feed on weakness, who sharpen their knives when they see your scars. They are not interested in your healing. They are interested in your vulnerability. To leave your trauma unclaimed, undefined, is to leave your story open to manipulation. You must become the author of your suffering, not the subject of it. Take the pen back from those who try to write you as broken. Redefine what happened not as tragedy, but as transformation. If you allow others to define your past, they will define your future. They will label you as damaged, unstable, soft. They will use your pain to keep you small, to bind you to identities that do not serve your power. The only way to counter this is through ruthless self-ownership. Own your wounds, not with tears, but with fire. Speak about them on your terms, not theirs. Use language that bends the narrative in your favor. Your trauma is not a confession. It is a declaration. You are not seeking sympathy. You are declaring evolution. Control begins with framing. What did you learn from the pain? What armor did it build? What clarity did it force upon you? These are the questions that reposition trauma from curse to conquest. The world cannot argue with a man or woman who refuses to be defined by their suffering. It is terrified of the individual who transforms trauma into identity without weakness. When you speak of your past, do not tremble. Speak with precision, with venom, with intention. Every syllable should be a reclamation of power. The silence of the wounded is a dangerous silence when cultivated correctly. It does not mean submission. It means strategy. Let others believe you are fragile. Then reveal the fortress you've constructed behind your eyes. Let your trauma become the myth they whisper about, not the leash they use to control you. In every room you enter, be the one who has mastered their past so completely that others grow nervous trying to find your weakness. This is not arrogance, it is survival. You are no longer at the mercy of your pain. You are the architect of its meaning. Those who once tried to shape your story will find themselves erased from its closure, is a fiction sold to those too afraid to face the truth. The idea that one day you will feel complete, that the pain will make sense, that the answers will soothe you, this is a soft illusion crafted to pacify the broken. You do not need closure, you need clarity. Closure asks for peace. Clarity demands understanding. One weakens you with sentiment, the other arms you with knowledge. When you seek closure, you place power in the hands of those who hurt you, begging for explanations, apologies, or validation. When you seek clarity, you take that power back, dissecting the wound without flinching, understanding why something happened is not the same as forgiving it. Forgiveness is not mandatory. Sometimes it is not even wise. The wise do not forgive what has not been acknowledged. The strong do not forgive what has not been repaid. Clarity is not about making peace with your past. It is about analyzing it until nothing within it can surprise you again. Study the betrayal, examine the manipulation, track the lies, chart your blind spots. There is no room for illusions in the mind of one who seeks to rise. You cannot heal from what you refuse to confront, and you cannot confront what you sugarcoat with closure. People speak of letting go, of moving on, as if these are acts of virtue. But moving on without understanding is just walking into the same ambush with your eyes closed. You must see every detail clearly: who broke you, how they did it, what you allowed, and what you missed. Let the facts burn away the fantasy. Clarity is the cleansing fire that leaves no weakness behind. Once you have it, you do not forget, you do not soften. You remember with strategy. You recall your pain not to suffer again, but to ensure precision in your future dealings. Emotions fade, but patterns repeat. Clarity is the shield that breaks those patterns. It is the weapon that transforms experience into foresight. Those who hurt you do not deserve your peace. They deserve your distance, your discipline, and your evolution. Let them choke on the silence of your indifference, not the noise of your longing. Do not ask them for truth, extract it. Do not wait for them to fix what they broke. Rebuild yourself in a way they can never reach again. You owe them nothing, but you owe yourself everything, and that begins with seeing the past for exactly what it was. A blueprint for how to never be broken again. When pain isolates you, the instinct is to escape it. You search for noise, for distraction, for someone to pull you back into comfort. But this solitude, however brutal, is not a prison. It is a forge. It is where the weak are broken and the strong are reforged. In isolation, there are no lies left to comfort you, no illusions left to protect you. There is only truth, sharp and merciless. This is the environment where real power is born, not in applause, not in company, but in silence so loud it forces you to confront every fracture in your soul. Most people fear being alone because they are afraid of meeting the version of themselves they've hidden from. They fill the void with others, with distractions, with mindless routines, never realizing that the pain they avoid is the very material needed to reshape themselves. In solitude, you are stripped of excuses. You are confronted by your flaws, your dependencies, your past choices, and this confrontation is the crucible. There is no healing in comfort, no transformation in safety. You do not become unbreakable by avoiding the fire. You become unbreakable by walking through it and refusing to scream. The forge of isolation burns away what is unnecessary: people, habits, beliefs. It reveals who you are without the influence of the crowd. It exposes the difference between strength you pretended to have and the strength you actually possess. If you use this time wisely, you emerge with a mind that cannot be manipulated, a will that cannot be bent. You learn to rely on your own counsel. You learn to observe others without needing them. You become sharper, colder, and more precise. You develop the discipline to act without reassurance, to build without validation, and to cut ties without explanation. When the world does not see you, you begin to see yourself, and that vision is dangerous. It is the beginning of self-command. Those who rise from solitude are feared not because they are loud, but because they have faced the abyss and found direction instead of despair. Their strength is not spoken, it is felt. They no longer beg for connection, they select it. They no longer explain their pain, they weaponize it. In solitude, you are not meant to be rescued. You are meant to become the one who never needs rescuing again. The forge does not care about your past. It only cares what you become when the fire stops. Revenge is not rage. It is not impulsive or wild. Real revenge is growth. It is becoming untouchable. It is rising so far above the people who try to destroy you that your very existence becomes a reminder of their failure. The weak seek revenge through retaliation, through shouting, through spectacle. The strong seek it through transformation. They evolve in silence, rebuild in darkness, and return with such force that nothing from their old life can reach them again. The ultimate revenge is to become something that cannot be wounded the same way twice. The people who hurt you expected you to stay broken. They relied on your silence, on your emotional collapse, on your inability to recover. They did not plan for your ascension. They never imagined you would take the pain and use it as a blueprint. Their betrayal becomes your architecture. Their cruelty becomes your catalyst. The suffering they caused becomes the foundation for something they cannot comprehend. They thought they were writing your ending, but they were only drafting your origin story. When you grow beyond their reach, you do not need to speak. Your presence becomes the lesson. Do not tell them what they did to you. Show them who you've become because of it. They do not deserve access to your pain, your process, or your peace. They deserve silence, indifference, and distance. When you build something powerful from what was meant to destroy you, you reclaim not just your dignity but your direction. You walk through life no longer reacting to wounds, but commanding outcomes. That is the essence of strategic revenge, not in matching their darkness, but in mastering your light. Growth is the battlefield they cannot fight on. They know how to wound, how to manipulate, how to trap you in emotional warfare. But they do not know how to handle someone who no longer bleeds, who no longer reacts, who no longer depends. Become so refined they cannot even understand the person they once thought they controlled. Outgrow the version of yourself that allowed the harm, that tolerated the disrespect, that kept quiet in the face of abuse. There is no need to expose them. Let your success do the speaking. Let your transformation be the mirror they cannot look into without flinching. They fed on your weakness. Now force them to witness your strength. Let your detachment be their punishment. Let your excellence be their consequence. Let your rise be the blade they cannot escape. You were not meant to stay broken. You were meant to rise, sharpened, calculated, and forged by fire. Your trauma is not your identity. It is your initiation. The world does not reward the wounded. It rewards those who learn to weaponize their wounds. Healing is not softness. It is not surrender. It is the transformation of pain into precision, of suffering into strength. You do not escape your past. You master it. You do not beg for closure. You extract clarity. You do not isolate to disappear. You isolate to evolve, and in the end, you do not seek revenge through destruction. You become the proof that they failed. This is not about healing to return to who you were. This is about healing into someone they will never recognize, never reach, and never ruin again.